Hey metalheads, welcome to another episode of Metal Academics with a band review. Who?
Black Majesty from Down Under.
Black Majesty would be the very first, if I'm not mistaken, Australian band we feature on Metal Academics.
Yeah, there is some great power metal coming out of Australia. Tends to be underrated. And I think those of you who know the band would agree with that statement. Probably Black Majesty takes the lead, I would say, as
I don't know
the best power metal bands down under.
This will be my first time listening to Black Majesty. So I'm very curious, and probably
you would like them, I think.
I don't think I actually know many other Australian bands in this universe of epic metal. I mean, maybe some people are from Australia or from New Zealand, Australia. I remember that the ex-Dragon Force singer ZP was from one of the Commonwealth countries. I don't know if it was South Africa, New Zealand, or Australia, but I know there was something. Like not Britain, but in the Commonwealth. Maybe I'm trying to remember who. There was another lead singer of another non-Australian band that had their roots in Australia, but I am not familiar with any other, big band from. That is entirely coming from Australia. So I'm very curious to give Black Majesty a good listen.
I think they as with anything in Australia, it's so far away from at least continental Europe or the United States. And so that's I think a logistical problem.
I'm curious if they inspire themselves more the Euro power metal or the American.
I would say definitely Euro. And the thing is that this band is awesome. It's been around since the early 2000s with their first full album, Sands of Time, coming out in 2003. Great stuff. So I have a lot to say about this band, not so much in terms of the ins and outs of
band members
and things like that. But I would say a few things about Black Majesty before we get into the tracks that we'll play. One is that they really are forming and started out in this, my favorite period of power metal, which is that early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. And they bring that sound, but they've been quite prolific. They've been playing, releasing records quite regularly up until today, or at least 2018 was their last record. We'll have something from that as well. Now, in terms of Black Majesty's sound, they're great. They're great. I think they kind of encapsulate. I think they call it melodic metal. I think it's definitely in the sort of power metal. Not that really matters, but awesome guitars, awesome vocals.
Yes.
The vocalist John Gio Cavalier. I don't know if this is the case, but I would assume that I think he goes by Gio, which is probably because he looks pretty close to Dio.
Really?
So, yeah, we'll see that in the videos. I think this is a band that you can draw similarities. Almost, you can take anything out of them. You can take Halloween. You can get sounds of Maiden. You can get sounds of Saxon. You can get sounds of, and they've toured with these bands. They opened for Halloween. Let's see, Hammerfall, Ed Guy. I mean, this is really a sort of
best of best.
They're different, but you can take a little bit of any of these bands out of them. I would say two other things about Black Majesty. One is that they really don't have too many standout songs.
So all of it is good.
All of it is good. Really good, but few are really like, whoa, mind-blowing, I would say, personally. It's really a band that you could open up on Spotify and just hit random, and you're going to get solid stuff.
So it is hard for you to choose
few things really, it's hard to choose because few songs really, really, really jump out.
This is the problem with the format we have, because we have to choose.
I would also say, and I'm curious to hear what some of the commenters, I know that we've talked a little bit with some of you about the Black Majesty before, but my impression of Black Majesty is that the sounds really hit their peak at the very end. which makes it difficult to kind of like introduce someone to that because really they really peak, and the best parts of the songs I think really come together in the end, and we'll see that in the second song. But the first song I'm gonna play, their first album, Sands of Time, excellent debut album, very, very well received. I'm not gonna play something off of that for exactly the reasons I mentioned, which is all the songs are really, really good, but it's hard to pick one that really stands out. If I had to, it would be Beyond Reality, but it's a bit long and I don't think really showcases the band for maybe first timers listening to it. So we're gonna skip to the second album, which is called Silent Company from 2005. And my favorite song from the band is from that album called Silent Company. And I think there's a pattern, at least in the first two albums, where probably some of the better songs are actually the names of the album. So Sands of Time is good, Silent Company is good. So the band has, luckily, videos for the songs that I was going to pick anyways, which helps. Again, it's not the videos that are guiding my choices for the first two songs, at least. But let's hear Silent Company, which I think is,
It's your favorite overall?
It's the best, yeah. I think of all of Black Majesty.
Start with the best.
You can agree to disagree, but let's hear and watch Silent Company.
Circumstances shoot out big. What a way to start.
I give you right already on 2 points. One, Dio Dio. That's definitely one. And then the picking up or getting into the full of it towards the end.
It's every song.
Definitely. So far. Because at the beginning I was like, well...
Yeah, and this is, I think it's the same pattern in the next song. I was also thinking, as I was listening to it, like, you want to call it cheesy, but it's good. And that's
I know your
interesting,
cheesiness.
And that's an interesting thing, because I was thinking, if you hadn't heard it, you might think this is cheesy, but it's actually... You can break the cheese factor when it's just good music, and I think that's fantastic.
I don't think this was cheesy. I think you've picked many cheesier bands in the past. I don't even want to begin.
The point I'm making is, even though if someone else would have sang this, it might come across as cheesy, but this comes across as good music.
I also just have to comment on I think because it's time specific, again, the production, because I'm used to some of the more modern stuff. I don't know what depends. I don't know if it's time, or like Spirit of Times, or the company, or the producer, but it wasn't super crisp. And that's kind of a nice thing. At the same time, I think my ear has been used to this the crispier sound where, like each instrument is quite clearly separated from the whole. This was like a very nice harmonic presentation of the entire sound of the band, but individual instruments did not necessarily shine through, except for, of course, the later guitar solos towards the end of the song.
Yeah.
So different ways to produce music.
Yeah.
Which year was this?
This was 2005.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it was time specific. I don't know.
Yeah. So that comes off their official YouTube page. Maybe it wasn't the best audio track. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, sometimes.
But I think it's that's how the song sounds.
It's not a criticism. It's just like a feeling. Sometimes you have crisper sound editing, and in some other bands, the way they prefer to be heard is a little bit lower fi in a sense.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the sound of the company. So of the company. I'm looking at the sound
the loud
of the
company, the metal company, which is Black Majesty. Now they do have probably their, at least from Spotify, which is always interesting because Spotify came out after this band, so you can look back to see what's been listened to the most, and that's their song "Six Ribbons," which is sort of a ballad. It's a cover of I think a John Legend song, which is so slow. I want to do a battle of the bands, but the original version is just so slow, ballady. Also really nice, but I didn't think really fit for me for the channel. So I'm sure some Black Majesty fans will be wondering, why don't you play Six Ribbons? Well, it's a good song, but I like the more fast metal, which is what we're gonna get in the next song.
All right.
Which comes off their next album, Tomorrowland from 2007. And we're gonna hear the opening song, Forever Damned.
Forever Damned.
Yeah, all of their openings, like I would say the fourth point I would mention about Black Majesty is that their opening songs are really
so they
good.
Start with their best foot forward.
Yeah, they really start with some good metal. So let's hear Forever Damned, and I would say same thing. Takes about 2 minutes, and then it really comes together towards the last.
It's also nice to know that you should really give them a proper listen, not just. Spotify has a 30-second limit. I don't know if you knew that. Their algorithm says that if you skip after less than 30 seconds, it's like a thumbs down vote for that song, and if you stay in for more than 30 seconds, or obviously the longer the better, this is an approval that you actually enjoy the song. So for Black Majesty, you really need that.
They were before Spotify and hopefully not too affected by it. So let's hear Forever Damned, and then luckily they have a video from this as well, which is it looks live, but it's the studio version.
Why there is fear we can believe. a great night, Chick.
Oh, a great night.
I know. This is very predictable, but I wish one could hear more of their Australian accent. I say this in my immediate reaction to what you're playing. This was better than the first song, so I prefer "Forever Damned."
Yeah.
And something must be said about the lead guitar, the guy with the amazing hair. Oh my God, he's definitely onto something very nice.
Yeah, the band was formed by the guitarist.
Yeah. Oh my God. Both. I mean, all the guitarists, including the bass, were very good. But like the guy with the longest and darkest hair, yeah, he's excelling at the solos.
Yeah.
Really sweet
Really
stuff.
cool. And you'll get a lot of that type of guitar play in the various songs they do. So that's kind of the.
No matter what the song, they would have
like
that.
I said, you can kind of have it on the background, and then you'll pick up to this nice guitar solo battle between lead guitars.
Yeah, I wish there were more like in the sound editing. I'm picking on this, I don't know why, but it just like it seems like the lead singer's contribution could be more audible somehow, because the voice is very good and the scream was awesome.
Yeah.
But
Again, they always come in the end.
I wish they were a little bit more audible somehow in the universe, in the soundscape. But that's just maybe a habit for me. I really like it.
If you like those screams, check out Colliding Worlds off of Sands of Time.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
All right.
Okay, so the story of Black Majesty is that I don't know exactly where. They had a couple albums after Tomorrowland, and at some point, not so well received. Like they sort of kind of critically, didn't work out so well. But they had a release in 2018 called Children of the Abyss. And so I wanted to play something off of that album, but I also want to try to find, I think it's somewhere. One of the great things about this band is their album art. And it's like this, I don't know, some kind of swordsman dude. There's always a lion somewhere. And the artist is called Thomas Ewehard, if I have that name right. So love the album art from this band. But I do want to, and we'll see it in this lyric video. So, okay, this was a very back and forth decision from me as to what was the third song I would play. Should it be something off Sands of Time, the great debut album? Should it be Six Ribbons, for example, the more ballad, more well-known song? Or should it be one of their great intros off of another album? And lo and behold, I chose this song, and I can see how this might be a bit of a polarizing pick. Something's Going On is my third pick, which is a completely different sound. And it's a song that I didn't like at first, but I was reading some reviews off someone's reviews, and he put it very well, which is like, I didn't like this song, but it wormed its way into my head. And that's how I feel about Something's Going On.
This is going to be a difficult first listen then.
Yeah,
it's a repeat listen.
Yeah, it's a totally different sound lyrically, and it's whack. I'll say that it's totally whack in terms of the lyrics. It says something about like people looking at Facebook too much, which is kind of weird.
Social relevance.
Yeah, it's some kind of commentary on that. I don't really know what exactly.
Something's going on, and you don't know what.
But this really reminds me of a little bit of that I Want Out battle that we did.
Ooh, that was cool.
It has a little bit of that sound
A bit of a punky rhythm?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's listen.
And so, I'm still unsure a little bit about this pick, but I'd listened to the album a few times, and I felt myself actually going back to single this one out to listen to on repeat. So,
Something's
going on. There's a lyric video. We'll see some of the newer lines they have, and curious to hear what you guys think.
lots of comments about this.
Yeah?
Yeah, first of all, this should not have been a lyric video. Terrible. I mean, sorry, but I love the song. The guitars are awesome.
Yeah.
The production was improved, clearly, because they obviously moved to a different label. So this Pride and Joy, that Crystallian also produced their latest, so you can hear more of the instruments. But dude, those lyrics are not worth committing to, memory.
Yeah, no, and it was something that I would keep clicking to listen to this track, but I wasn't thinking about the lyrics.
Yeah.
I just like the.
When you see the lyrics video, you were basically forced to it. That's what I meant. Like this shouldn't. This could be about anything else. But yeah, that's maybe less important, but interesting choice. More standard metal in a sense. This is more.
But it's a single. I'm sure it's kind of pushed.
Yeah, I liked it though. I mean,
it's catchy.
It's catchy.
Worms into your brain, as that guy said.
It totally does. I think definitely it's a keeper in terms of listening on and just getting that good vibe. As long as you can ignore whatever they say, it's really a good sound. And just because I commented and now I feel like I have to comment on the production again. This is a totally different, more modernized production. Still not doing the best out of everything. I think now the guitars are putting behind but the voice is finally coming into their full, and I enjoy that very much. So progressively getting more refined sound and definitely good composition, something to listen to in the future. One for the playlist.
Yeah, and they have so much music, and like I said, it was a tough call choosing what, because I picked these, I guess, because I liked mostly the guitars, and also not so much the lyrical content, but the singing.
Hard.
But I would say that with some cases, in sort of picking the songs for the band, it's very clear what songs you would pick. In this one, it's a little tougher because most of the other songs are kind of in this ballpark, which is like they have above average consistency, I would say. So you really can't go wrong in kind of clicking around and hearing what they have to offer.
Black Majesty.
Yeah.
I like it. Definitely a good discovery from Australia. If you have any suggestions for Australian bands or bands with Australian components, people that sing or play, let us know in the comments. And yeah, this was very exciting. Cool, Black Majesty.
Yeah.
In the meantime, though,
may your swords stay sharp.
And your quest end in glory.